Hello friends, and welcome back to the Frosty friggin' Folks. We're making some progress today, or at least I hope we are, and I hope that our whole base doesn't melt and we don't wind up losing, because that would be silly. So let's not do that. First of all, we should probably get on top of our skills, because we just got another round of them. So builder probably should be good at building. The miner should probably be good at mining. The rancher should probably be good at ranching. And the researcher should probably be good at researching. There you go. Pretty official stuff. Let's see where we stand in the research tree, by the way. What do I really need to get up next? I think the next thing I need to go for is starting to ranch all these critters. And not necessarily because we have to, but I think because it'd be interesting to find out. Hey, look, there's a baby one. Phlox fawn. These things are creepy looking. I don't know what it is about them. Like, their noses are, like, really awkwardly pointy, and I don't know. They look really weird to me. I'm not sure, like, what the ecosystem is of the stuff that we need right now. Also, whatever. Let's take another duplicant. I don't have a reason why or why not. Looks like nothing new here, but no, that's not that great. I should make a rule from now on that I have to take every bubbles that I see. That should be a permanent rule on the channel. Alright, let's take Rowan. This is not... No, we can't build. That's terrible. Alright, I guess we're taking Steve. None of these are really impressing me all that much. But I guess Steve, yeah, he's got some decent... Well, I guess Doc... I don't know. Whatever. We're just taking a duplicant for the show of it. Not really a reason, so why are we thinking about this so much? One thing that's a little bit concerning right now is my air pressure is actually pretty low. I don't know if it's because it's all just trapped down here. No, not really. I'm just not producing enough. Okay, I guess I need more. So let's start adding some more of this. We're also going to need some more food now that we took on another duplicant. So it seems like about a row of these, and I know that's very non-scientific, maybe 10 of them, is what it looks like, can support one duplicant roughly. Yeah, that might even be a little bit more than that, but I don't know. This hasn't fully stabilized yet, so... More food, more oxygen for the new duplicant. But, in the meantime, I think what I'm going to be doing is at least setting up one ranch with each one of the new critters. I'm also debating... one thing I noticed, by the way, is down here we have a warm saltwater geyser. This is kind of a problem because I want to keep all of the warmness. Here's another cool slush geyser, by the way, or salt slush geyser. This is a lot of water on this asteroid. I have a way to produce dirt right now is another question. You produce dirt? Yeah. Only by eating stuff that's kind of valuable, right? I don't know. But my thought here is I have all of the coldness, right? And the coldness, I think, can be kind of disastrous if it gets whittled down enough. That's the thing I'm a little bit nervous about. I don't know if that's valid to be nervous about, but something like this is definitely a problem, so I'm going to want to get down there and close this off fairly soon. So I think we're going to be setting up some ranches for all this stuff just to get the whole cycle going. We're obviously going to try to stay alive, because that's proven to be a little bit of a challenge so far. And I think we're going to start walling off some of our water sources. Are you eating my food? Probably. A bunch of these baby ones just got created. So, yeah, let's start off by getting everything that we need for each one of these. So I'm going to start off by saying, okay, we have a mammoth here, which somebody said is a bunny and a mammoth mixed together. That makes a lot of sense. Also, like the little tag on their ears. Me and the rabbits in real life have a real beef, so I'm not the biggest fan of rabbits. So what I need here is a regular source of food for these guys, which is this plume squash plant. Mammoth patty. Whoa! 1,300% of consumed mass. That's a crazy ratio. Okay, so they need food for this, which comes from ethanol. The ethanol is going to be produced by... Where are they? These guys. Spigot seals. We need bourbon gourds to be able to constantly produce ethanol from that. So let's first of all worry about getting a ranch set up for one of these. And this is going to need to be kind of a weird one because they're going to be constantly excreting a liquid. So we need to set it up, same though. We're going to need to set it up in a way that we will be able to catch the liquid somewhere. I'm also hoping that it doesn't produce it at a super high temperature, which is something that I need to really pay attention to now that I wasn't paying that much attention with the mercury. How do I look at their body temperature? I guess I don't... Do I have a way of doing this? Yeah, okay, negative 57. It probably is just whatever its surroundings are. What's the temperature of this? Negative 75 to negative 15. Okay. Yeah, oddly enough, like I mentioned earlier, these are a little bit of a threat in terms of, like, melting a bunch of useful stuff. So I might just rush out the research for walling these off, and then I think I will worry about the ranching afterward, because we're not in any dire need to ranch it, but I am a little bit nervous about getting too much water in here and getting too much heat and melting a bunch of stuff. Also, I'm concerned about the breathability of our base, which is really terrible right now, so I'm just going to focus on getting the research that we need to wall this stuff off. We might actually start harvesting these as well, so I might get the research for, like, plumbing and stuff. I might also need to assign a second duplicant for cooking or something like that. We just got Steve. Steve, you are very slow. Oh, what am I thinking? We need reed fibers too, so that we can... Oh, this is almost grown back. What makes this grow back? Oh, I guess it just slowly does. I guess we can grab another one and shear it. There was another one down here. There's also one right here. The other thing I want to play around with is this lumen quartz. I'm guessing that these are going to be used to provide light for these plants, because these plants do need light in order to grow, as far as I understand. Right? Yeah, at least the branches do. It's like it's a different part of the plant. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, we have a lot of different things to do, but the first thing I'm going to do is worry about getting a second mammoth in here so that we can shear it and get a coat for Steve. Otherwise, we're going to be dealing with the exact same problems we just dealt with in the last one. So I'm going to expand this out just a little bit. We'll probably add a second plant. I'm really not sure what the ratio is in terms of how much these guys eat versus how many plants we need. So I'm just going to stick with one at a time until it proves to be not enough. So I'll keep an eye on their metabolism and see how much. 400 calories per cycle. Math. Math's boring. Let's just figure it out. All right, whatever. Yeah, so let's get a second mammoth in here, and then we will... start getting the research that we need to wall these off, and when we get that walled off and we get them all harvested, we'll keep going from there. Also, by the way, I think this video I'm going to shoot for probably about 25 to 30 minutes. That'll probably be a typical episode with this, because it'll start to get more stretched out in terms of, like, content density, and I don't want these things to be too long, but I also don't want them to be released at such a slow rate. So I do want to keep this pace up pretty good. And if I can get out one a day, that would be ideal. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep that up the whole time, but if I can stick around there, that'd be great. So yeah, that's going to be the plan, at least for this episode and stuff going forward. So I don't know if anybody really cares except for me. Okay, whatever. I'll be right back. Well, I thought Steve was going to be coming over here to get his coat, and it's definitely on the ground. So I guess Steve will be getting his coat here in a second. There we go. This is definitely a lot less drama than getting Meep's coat. Another thing that I also really need to get up, because I'm having so many issues of food poisoning right now since I just didn't bother to deal with it yet, we need a bathroom that can clean up these duplicants' hands, so they were not walking around with dirty hands all the time. I'm debating if that's something that I need right this second, or if that can wait a bit. Let me solve the oxygen needs first, and then we'll worry about that, but we're still just plugging along in our research, trying to get to these insulated tiles. Ooh, we can finally research our ice liquefier. That's funny. Ice liquefier, ice maker. You could just waste a whole bunch of power going in a circle between those two things. Let's do that. That'd be a great strategy. Alright, so I'm going to wait for those tiles to come up and again wall this off. Then we'll start ranching a little bit more. As you can see, we did get the second one in here. The scale growth looks like it's already done, but it's not. It says it's only at like 60%, so that's a little bit misleading, but oh well. So yeah, just getting everything up here. I think I'm also going to want to get some plumbing up for this ethanol, so my duplicants don't have to carry it all the way across the map all the time. So yeah, a couple small things to do here, but mostly I just want to work towards those tiles, because this saltwater geyser is kind of putting a clock on a lot of our low temperature stuff, especially since all of our food is dependent on that. I definitely don't want that to be a risk, so we'll get there though. Not a big deal. Okay, I'm quickly growing annoyed with these alveo vera plants, mostly because when you come and harvest them, the oxalite just drops on the ground, which naturally will start to push all the carbon dioxide out of the way, which is exactly what these things need to sit in order to continue growing. So to combat this, I have a bin that's just constantly requesting oxalite at a decent priority. But that's a lot of duplicant time to be doing this, so I think what we're going to do to solve this is the first thing we're going to block off is probably this cool slush geyser. And this cool slush geyser comes out at -10, which is still relatively low enough to be okay with most of the things that we're doing, especially if we send it over here. Oh, the setup I'm going to be doing basically is a liquid reservoir, which I don't think I have researched yet. Yeah, no. I'll be pumping all of this into a liquid reservoir, putting a whole bunch of deodorizers around it, and then deleting the reservoir so that it'll gas off into polluted oxygen from the bottles. So that's a cheap way to get some oxygen by this stage without heating up our base too much. So I think I'm going to go with that for the time being. And I think I'm going to put this ethanol stuff on the back burner. So I'll probably deprioritize all the ethanol stuff and work more on this, but I do need a little bit more research to be able to get that setup going. And then if I actually let it go in here, that will cool it down quite a bit because we do have active wheezeworts in here. So I'll probably put in some reservoirs somewhere in here, and this will become a hybrid of like Sleet Wheat Farm and where we have all of our polluted oxygen being created. So I think that's going to be the plan here. I don't know how much access to sand that oh no, there's tons of sand right here. Yeah. Where's the sand? I don't know. I don't see any sand. There's barely anything. So yeah, we have tons of it to go around, literally. So I think that's what we're going to be doing to solve our oxygen problem, since these are just way too much dupe labor for my liking. I'm sure in a smaller scale or something like that, they're probably better. If you have shipping, they're probably also better and probably really cheap to run. But we're too early for shipping right now. You can't actually get access to it until like cycle 55 because your duplicants won't have the skills in order to build the buildings that you need to start shipping stuff around. Believe me, if I could put shipping up at like cycle 10, I'd start doing it then because shipping is very good. Oh, I need to turn this back on. But yeah, we don't really have access to it until like, it's like cycle 55 or so when your duplicants first start getting enough skills for that. So yeah, that's the plan with that. And I think I will just build out this setup here in just a minute when I get all the right supplies for it. Okay, we're sitting at a reasonable surplus of food by now. We're also ready for another shearing on our Mammoth, so I think I'm going to take another duplicant. So let's see who we got. Hassan, Catalina, and Ada. No narcoleptics, ideally. Shabby Dresser, this is one of the best negative traits, because I really don't care about this pretty much at all. Also, +4 athletics is really good. Hassan, yes. I want you to be my supplier of stuff. Alright, Hassan, let's get you some priorities. What's your priorities in life, sir? Supplying and storing. Alright, there we go. Now we got a 6th duplicant. We will get his jacket soon because the Mammoth will be ready to eat soon. I also need to remember to move these eggs out of here because I don't have any shipping going on, so that they are not upset by that. But yeah, so 6th duplicant. Probably need to add another row of food, probably. Probably. I don't know, we'll see. There we go. Just kind of chuck it in there. And yeah, we'll get up to our research with the liquid reservoirs and everything to get the oxygen running soon. Alright, our build for grabbing cool slush has begun. Just going to be a little pit underneath this, not going to take up too much room. This is a smaller asteroid since we're on spaced out, so we don't have a lot of room to play with. But we will need to pay the expense of pumping this out with a pump anyway, so we might as well just have a big pool of it if we can afford the space. So I'll do that. I'll probably put a couple of reservoirs down in here as well, but let's get the rest of the setup going, or at least planned out. So what I'm going to be doing is setting up some liquid reservoirs in here, just something like this, nothing too fancy. And then all we're going to be doing is pumping the cool slush into here so that it can go into bottles, and then we will delete the reservoirs so that they will just gas off over time. Well, the bottles of polluted water will gas off over time anyway. And then all we need to do is line this area with a whole bunch of deodorizers, something like this, to clean it up and make sure that it is not polluted by the time it gets out to our base. So there, we have a couple of channels for this to go through, a couple of deodorizers on each area, so there you go. All we need to do is get the rest of this dug out, and then we'll let the cool slush all fall down into a big pit. I'm going to be protecting it with some igneous rock insulated tiles, just to make sure that we're not putting all of this heat, and yes, I use heat relative. It does come out at -10°C, which is hotter than most of our base right now, and I want to keep everything very cold. So, yeah, that'll be the plan here, and we'll just kind of build out the rest of this in just a minute. And as soon as we're ready to hook it up, I'll show you how it works. Very minor thing I just noticed, by the way. The materials that you can now build regular pipes out of include iron and copper, and presumably all other types of metal ore. You used to only be able to do this with wolframite, so I wonder what the reason was behind changing that, but it's almost like it's a middle ground between the regular pipes, like these iron pipes, I guess would probably conduct heat a lot better, or cooling a lot better, and the radiant pipes, which are going to take refined metal. So, I don't know, I just wanted to comment on that. That's one of the things that can usually fly under the radar of some of these DLCs, but we will see a setup at some point that takes advantage of this. I'm very sure of it. Alright, I think we're finally ready to turn this on, so let's go ahead and do it. Let's dig out all of this water right here so that the polluted water will just spill down to the bottom. We have a pump that's just going to be pumping into these reservoirs, and then the reservoirs will lead out into the actual other, well, I guess from one reservoir to another, but these reservoirs are so we can collect a whole bunch of polluted water in one spot, and then we will delete those so that they can start producing a lot of polluted oxygen for us and solve our oxygen problems, at least for a little while. This I might just kind of leave open, because if it pollutes, or if it produces a little bit of polluted oxygen, that's fine. That's kind of what we're using it for anyway, so I'll just put a couple of deodorizers here. That should be fine. I probably want to concentrate it around a place that has more cooling going on, so probably around here ought to be fine. So there we go. While that system runs, and before we get too far... Uh-oh. Oh, this was bound to happen. I guess this polluted water that's coming out of here is a little colder than we typically expect. So that's fine. I might just repair my way through this instead of worrying too much about it. So I guess I'll just let my duplicants go and get after this. I don't want to really spend all of my igneous rock on... Well, maybe I do. I don't know. Let's just do it. Okay, whatever. So we're just going to do this and get all the igneous rock to fill this up. I guess I should have probably expected that, considering how cold it is around here. This is going to come out at -10, so I thought it would be fine, but apparently not. So, yeah, we'll get that corrected. Alright, anyway, so there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about. So this whole video is really just going to be about ranching, and I wanted to start getting some of that stuff done. What I did figure out is that these mammoths really only need one of these plume squash plants. As far as I can tell, their calories have been holding steady. They've been very happy, as it says Glum right on the screen. It's just because he's not getting groomed on time. But one of these per mammoth seems pretty good. It could even be less than that. I'm not 100% sure, but that is extremely low for how much these things do for you. So I don't know. That's pretty wild. Actually, one thing I want to check is how much does cracking one of these eggs give? Let me build that in the meantime. Egg cracker right next to the outhouse. That's where I put mine. So there we go. We got that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this. This tallow, or however you say this. There's a whole bunch of words that I'm sure you all know and I don't. Or I've only seen them written. But this is when a spigot seal dies. We will need to start ranching these pretty soon. But what I might do with these is actually just keep them wild. Like, not wild, but like keep them in pens that have all of these already. Because the domestication cost of taking 100 kilograms of snow per cycle, that's a lot. That does not sound like a lot, but that is a lot for how many of these there are. So I think I might just build a area here to illuminate these, and well, I might try... Where did these things go? I forget what they're called. Lumen quartz. I might use those to illuminate these, and then just build a little ranching setup here, and then use these, or actually ranch these, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with this tallow, or however you say that. Let's go to the database. So if you melt it, it turns into oil, which is not the greatest, but its actual use seems to be in a whole bunch of recipes, and one of them is pemmican, or I think that's how you guys told me to say it in the comments, so thank you for that. Or a whole bunch of stuff in the deep fryer, which we haven't really played around with. This is cool. Squash fries. Fish tacos, shellfish tempura, deep fried steak. Oh man, that is a lot of calories. Same with this. That's really good too. Okay, I'm interested in getting all that stuff up too, but maybe next video we'll start cooking a whole bunch of different recipes. Here we go. Now that we have this all filled up in the liquid reservoir, I'm going to deconstruct that, and we will start to see the free oxygen production. There we go. It's going to produce this. 160 grams per second is pretty wild. That's about 1.5 duplicants worth of oxygen for just that one bottle. And you can always rebuild these over and over and deconstruct them. So yeah, that's going to be our new oxygen source for the most part. And all I'll need my duplicants to do is run sand here every once in a while, and we should be fine. So yeah, there you go. Pretty interesting. I did this in a couple of my walkthroughs because I think this is one of the strongest ways to produce oxygen in the early game, because one of the things that I'm trying to avoid is producing a lot of heat or consuming a lot of resources that I don't really have. So yeah, this is one of the cheaper ways to do it, and sand is usually very prevalent on some of the other maps, so this is definitely what I recommend if you're looking for a cheap oxygen source. Let's see. Yeah, the next thing we need to do is start setting up our ranches for these things. So I'm just going to get into these two rooms and start to set them up basically like we were ranching pips in the other one. I don't think this is going to be great, but I am interested in ranching these just so we can get the ethanol out of it. And I will probably like mess around with these rooms a little bit to get all the ethanol to drain to one place. So probably split this into two and rebuild this a little bit. This might actually be a good opportunity for a little montage-y segment. Yeah. I know people were really into those from the last series, so I think I'm going to keep that up. And this seems like a good opportunity for kind of brainstorming out how to build this, because I've never built anything like this before. So I think I'm just going to like build a ladder up here and start fleshing all this stuff out. Now that we have our oxygen pretty much taken care of for the foreseeable future. This should really start to get a lot of pressure going once I get more of these reservoirs filled up and once this erupts a little bit more. So that's no longer a concern. Let's get the seals done, and I do need to wall this off eventually. I guess this is about steady now, like it won't cause too many more problems, and the heat hasn't really spread very much further, so I'm no longer as worried about this as I was at the beginning of the video. But anyway, let's start messing around with these seals. Okay, had to cut the montage a little bit early because we are in some dire straits right now. Kind of coming out of nowhere, and I was hoping to not have to do this and could just kind of blow through it, but we are getting some serious air pressure issues that's causing our food not to grow, causing our duplicants to all be stressed out and not do anything. So we're in a little bit of a death spiral here. I need to see how... Oh, I did take another duplicant, by the way, so welcome, Frankie. But we are at extremely low amounts of food right now. The other thing I have to say about this is the mercury is insanely annoying. It just causes a problem everywhere because all my duplicants have soggy feet because of it. It all drained down and got down here and unplanted all of my alveo vera. So my air pressure is just awful right now. I decided to move some polluted water bottles over here to hopefully improve the air pressure around our food, but I don't know why nobody is harvesting this right now. So I definitely need to increase the priority and get somebody over here to harvest all this food because it's ready, but they're just not doing it. So yeah, I need to figure out exactly what's happening. If things get too bad or if someone gets too close to starving, which is, Frankie is really close right now, I might just kill one of these mammoths because they're already miserable and I'm already having a hard time getting their food up anyway. So, yeah, get them, Joshua. Go, go, go. Whoa. All right, there we go. So we have a lot of food now. You better be ready to eat. Come on. Go eat the food. What are you doing? Sorry, I gotta move water. Let me starve to death. Oh, wait, that's not you. You're moving water too. Look how angrily you're moving this water. Go eat the meat. Oh, it's probably banned. Yep, okay. Now go eat the meat. Come on. Alright. Yay. We got our emergency mammoth meat. We're able to stabilize at least a little bit. So, yeah. Jeez. Anyway, so we have kind of a proof of concept up right now with the area that we're going to be ranching the Spigot seals. Basically, all this is going to be is a critter drop-off, a stable, or rather a grooming station, and then I'm going to have a couple of these trees sitting in here with some seals that will produce ethanol, and the ethanol will fall down into this area where I will pump it out and into our plants right here that our mammoths can eat. I need to do this kind of soon because they're starting to starve, but I do think I'm about to be wired up. Yeah, I almost have this pool of ethanol wired up. We might add a little bit more infrastructure up here to filter this out, because the other problem we're having is the liquid carbon dioxide is going to be a problem when we're pumping this out, so I will need to filter that and make sure I'm only taking the ethanol down to those plots so they don't get blocked. So yeah, going to be a little bit more infrastructure up here, but I think we have a good proof of concept, and I am going to start ranching these on a small scale just to see how much they need to eat and how much they produce. So 58 tiles, how many do these need? 12. So 4 looks like the limit for this room. There we go. And we want this, spigot, pups, or seals. And then the other one, we're just going to wrangle some stuff in here. And we're going to see how many of these trees actually support once they're being wrangled. Whoops, I don't want these. Yeah. Another stress reaction. I think part of the reason that we had so many issues was we have a couple of binge eaters. And those binge eaters ate all my food. So we're in this position where we have very low air pressure because this is taking a little while to kick in. Mining out a little bit more areas, by the way, to promote some better airflow. And also the air pressure is just coming in the wrong places right now, so... Ugh, jeez, we are really struggling, but I think we're gonna be okay. We should have plenty. By the way, the egg, Bamini egg, I guess, Bamini? I don't know. That is going to be not really worth cracking. The amount that it actually gave was like 5,000 calories, whereas the meat, as we saw, is like 23,000. So definitely good to have the meat instead of that. So let me get this stabilized, and then we will start ranching these floxes, and I think we'll call it a day for this video. So we will get there despite the heavy struggles. Okay, we carved out one of these quartz rocks. I'm just going to move it up to a place that will illuminate these trees, which will allow me to get rid of this shine bug since I don't need it to really be in here. So I guess we could move the shine bug out here and just get it out of there so there's not, like, you know, radiation and it's not always up or something like that. It looks like these two trees can at least support these two seals, so I might just continue to move more of them in here. I thought there was a third, but it might have just died after it laid an egg, so... Oh, no, it's stuck down here. How did that happen? Okay, that was weird. So let me see how many more we can cram into here. The only other thing that we need to do is start ranching these flocks. And these are going to be pretty straightforward because these just need to eat pike apples and they will put out dirt. Yeah, so pretty standard stuff here. So I think we can just put together a very quick and simple terrarium for them and get them ranched. And that will be all of the critters we've seen so far are actively being ranched. I'm not actually sure what it means yet in terms of, like, how good any of them are. These feel like a necessity only because, by the way, look at the baby version of this. They are very derpy. Of the buck teeth instead of the, like, horns coming out of their mouth, whatever. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what all of them mean, but these ones seem very essential in terms of getting reed fibers up because not having coat seems like a really big problem in this. So these are definitely worth it for sure. To continue the ethanol, I guess these will be alright. I need to set up the rest of the infrastructure, but I do have plenty of ethanol that's just sitting around here that I'd rather use up first. So I think we'll use that up and then we'll set up the rest of the infrastructure a little bit later. But at least we're getting these ranched. Let's see. So yeah, the flocks. We just need to plant a... I don't know how much these are going to eat, so let me drop one of these in here. And I also don't know how big these are. These ones seem smaller, but these ones seem huge. So I'm trying to keep these like one space away from the edge, just so we don't get blocked. And I guess those will make dirt. I don't really know what we're using dirt for. I guess research. There'll probably be something else that's important for this. The other thing that we should do is we should start smashing these to get the phosphorite out of them. These big poops. So I'm just going to drop one of these and start asking for it on a regular basis so we have phosphorite. The next video, I think we're going to get shipping up to deal with all this stuff, because this is wasting a lot of duplicant time right now, having them just run around and load stuff manually. It's what we have to do this early in the game anyway, and it's not like we have a lot of refined metal or really time to do that right now, with the difficulty that it's on. Food situation has really stabilized once again, which is what I expected once we got this all set up properly, but they are breathing polluted oxygen, which is not ideal. We'll get this all opened up a little bit more and sorted out with the pressure that we have. There's also potentially a need to create carbon dioxide just to keep these things running, because they actually consume a lot more than the duplicants will produce. So I might need a passive source of carbon dioxide. Maybe we'll run some like wood generators or something for power, which I have not done, but I do want to get these flocks domesticated first, so that we can see how much they actually put out with the wood. I also don't know, should we be harvesting these trees for wood? Because we definitely can. What's taken so long to bring this up here? Oh, I guess it's kind of a low priority, whatever. So yeah, that'll kind of round everything out, I think. Let me run this for just a few more cycles, just to see if anything else important comes up here. Now we can crush our poops. I'm just going to let that one hang for a minute. And then we will get our phosphorite running and kind of have a nice little mini ecosystem going on here. At least with the duplicants that we have. There we go. Hassan's cruising up that ladder. There. So it looks like a quartz is going to be useful just to keep these things lit all the time, basically for free. I don't know what else this would really be for. I mean, it could also obviously be for a few things, but this seems like a pretty nice little matchup here. I could also... oh my... another cool salt slush geyser. This is 4 on the map so far, so we're going to have an insane amount of water on this map. I don't know if this is going to be normal. Oh, hey, this is new. Showroom couch. Something a little ominous about that. Yeah, some new stuff here definitely poking out. Let me run for a few more cycles, and then once we're making sure everything is all stable, we'll sign out and we'll call it a day. All right. Been running for a few cycles just to kind of feel out the quirks of these flocks, and also how our resources are doing from each of these, because I'm wondering if you could get a fully sustainable setup in terms of like how much phosphorite you would need versus how much wood you might need to produce power, which we will definitely do in the next video. Oh, you just saw the flocks get its antlers shaved off, by the way. So I am grabbing a whole bunch of them. This will eventually be filled up to 8, and I will be putting in a bunch of pike apple bushes. I'm not sure how fast they will eat it, so this will be interesting to see how to balance this out. But we'll figure it out. So yeah, I think we have successfully ranched all 3 of the new critters that we have seen so far. These ones kind of seem like the new age slicksters. I'm not super impressed quite yet. But, I don't know. We'll give them a chance. They really don't eat that much, so if we can just cram them all in these smaller spaces and get a lot of them using just a few trees, that would be nice. But also, these don't actually eat that much. They don't really seem like they need that much ethanol to keep going. And these 2 alone produce a lot. These are so strong, at least as far as I can tell, because these will also lay eggs at a fairly regular rate. And when they do, this is still a hilarious amount of meat for the baby ones. So, I don't know. These things seem really good. The other 2, they don't seem as great on the surface right away, but I don't know. We'll kind of feel it out in the next episode for sure. We'll get into the new food types also, assuming I can get into all the research that we need by then. But yeah, at least for the time being, we are still alive, no duplicants lost, still on the hardest difficulty. So we are making progress at the very least, even though it's been quite rocky. But it's our first time playing through, so I figured that we would see some rockiness either way. So yeah, I'll try to keep up videos every day if I possibly can. If not, then it'll be every couple days or every 3 days or something like that. I'll try to get it out as soon as possible. But thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next episode.